Welcome to this session at TCEA Remote Learning. You can find more about TCEA's remote learning options at tcea.org/remote-learning. My name is Miguel Gulen. I'm a Director of Professional Development for TCEA, and today's topic is going to be overcoming Zoom limits with live streaming. The session description says, wish you had a better way to reach out to parents, community, and staff, but maybe Zoom's 100-person limit is getting in your way? You can use the free OBS project to stream your Zoom conversation via YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live. So this is a problem that just came to my attention last week. A school principal really sort of crashed and burned on Zoom, unfortunately. He'd wanted to reach out to staff, parents, and community, and when he published his Zoom link, parents were trying to connect, but they quickly overwhelmed the 100-person limit. And that's because the Zoom Basic that's available for free to educators doesn't allow more than 100 people in a Zoom. So how do you get around that? What do you do about it? And then just this weekend, in April, early April, as a matter of fact, we saw that Zoom put in some security protocols, basically preventing participants from entering or from joining a Zoom unless they knew a password. And also, all Zoom participants have to go into a waiting room, and then they have to either be allowed one by one or all at once. You can click a Admit All button, and it will let everyone in. But this sort of really limits what any video conferencing tool can do, because there are always limits to the amount of people you can bring together. But what if a administrator, a campus principal, for example, or superintendent, wanted to share a message and still be able to have that live conversation feel? Well, one way to do that, one way to accomplish that, is to combine Zoom with a tool called OBS Studio. Now, I've been aware of OBS Studio and what it could do for a long time, but I had never played with it or had the time to play with it. And my son was playing with OBS Studio because he's a gamer. He likes to stream his gameplay on Twitch TV, which is one of the streaming services that you can do with OBS Studio. And I decided to give it a try. And surprisingly, OBS Studio works, not just for live streams, but also for recording. Maybe you want to share a video, record a video or screencast of what you're doing in your browser. Well, OBS makes it easy to quickly record content and then share it as a video online. So what we're going to do is sort of explore OBS and just take a quick look at what's possible through OBS. You can see that there's a whole, if you look in the settings of OBS, there are lots of different services that you can stream to. You can stream to YouTube, which is a really popular one, and I found it to be pretty easy to get into. You can stream to Vimeo. You can stream to Twitter Periscope, although Periscope, there was some problem with the audio. It didn't quite work so well for me. Twitch, or of course, Facebook Live. So lots of different possibilities for you. So just a quick overview or demo on how it works. This is what the OBS screen looks like. And I don't know if you can see it, but down here on the far left-hand side, there are what we call scenes. And these scenes have sources. So your sources are specific to each one of these scenes. So scene 1 might have these sources. Scene 2 might have a different set of sources. That's convenient because you can jump from scene to scene simply by clicking on the different scene, and that will change what happens up here in the video. Simply, it changes what you're recording or broadcasting or streaming. So scenes and sources are related in the sense that scenes are whatever you want to call them, and inside each scene there are sources that are specific to that scene. And then there's a mixer, an audio mixer that you can use to mix in content. Scene transitions, which we're not really going to talk about today. I just sort of leave mine alone. And then your controls, where you can start streaming, start recording. So let's back up a little bit and take a quick, just sort of talk a little bit about getting and installing OBS Studio. Now, getting OBS Studio is pretty easy. When you go to their website, you'll find that you can get the Windows, Mac, or Linux version. And I find that it's pretty easy to grab. We're here at the OBS website at obsproject.com, and you can just come in and download whichever one is appropriate for you. They have a nice walkthrough of some of their main features, but to be honest, I found a lot of this confusing. I didn't really understand how everything sort of played together, and that's what we're going to try to sort of clear up today. You can use OBS Studio for screen recording, and I've been using it, and I've created over 15 videos, and I have found it to be very easy to do the screen recording. One of the neat things about it is that you're not just doing a blanket screencast. When you use a tool like Screencastify or Flipgrid, screen recording, which just announced that feature on April 1st, 2020, what you're able to do is select which applications you're actually going to screencast. So as you look at all the different programs that you have on your computer, when you go up to your scenes and you set up your sources, you decide what is going to be that source. So you can have a browser, you could have PowerPoint, you can have a text editor, you can have File Explorer, you can have whatever you want, and that's what's going to appear. And because you can set these scenes up ahead of time, you can just quickly switch between them, and you will see the content of that source up here in this window. And this is essentially, this top window that I'm sort of circling around is where all your content goes. That's what the people are seeing when they're watching either a stream or if you're recording. So it's pretty amazing. One of the first things that you'll do when you first install OBS Studio is it'll ask you to run a wizard. And this wizard will sort of set up your default input sources. I recommend that you have your headset microphone plugged into your USB port, and I would have it directly plugged into your USB port so that way it will pick up on that headset mic that is there. Otherwise, you may have to go into your settings and add it yourself. Sometimes just setting it as the default down here in your sound preferences is something that you could do. Now, one of the things that I recommend that you also set up in adjusting your settings is that OBS Studio will record, if you're doing a screencast, your video to a format called MKV. But often what we need is MP4. That's a very compatible video format that you can share with others, and they'll be able to play it. You can take your MP4 and upload it to YouTube, and it'll work just fine. So to do that, you just go to your settings in OBS once you have it set up, click on the advanced, the word advanced over on the left-hand side on that sidebar that pops up in your settings, and then come over and select automatically remux to MP4. And you just put a check mark there, and that means it'll be ready to go. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure what remux means. I don't think it means convert exactly. It will do something pretty amazing because it will create when you finished recording, it will save this file as a MKV. And then if you have that automatically remux to MP4, it's going to save it immediately to MP4. And it does it incredibly fast. I can't tell you how fast it is. It's as fast as snapping your fingers. And that's a real advantage over some of the cloud-based screencasting tools that I've mentioned, whether it's Screencast-O-Matic or Screencastify or whatever, because it makes this conversion so fast, and now you have a video that's ready to go. Usually, like with Screencastify, if you're downloading an MP4, it can take a while. So another thing that you might want to check out is settings output recording path. And when you do that, when you make that adjustment, the settings output recording path, you can tell it to save everything on your desktop. So that might be something you want to look at, because sometimes it can be hard, depending on where it saves the videos, to go looking through your computer to find it. Now that you've sort of installed and you've run the wizard and you think you've got the headset mic working, you're ready to set up your scenes and sources. And again, I just want to emphasize that, as you can see here, I've got quite a few scenes on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, I have the sources that correspond to the scene. So for my title slide, you can see I have blog address 2, image, and headset mic. I didn't spend a lot of time giving these original names, but you can always right-click on each one of these, and it will allow you to rename it to whatever you want. It will also allow you to do some other things, so we'll go into that in a little bit. So OBS makes it easy to set up an unlimited number of scenes. At least it feels that way. I'm not sure if there might be an actual limit, but I don't know. Haven't run into it yet. And inside of each scene, you add different sources. And again, these sources can be your web browser, a computer program. They can even be a Zoom meeting ID window, or audio, video saved on your computer and or your headset or microphone. Your audio mixer, as you can tell, allows you to mix in various audio sources, such as desktop audio or headset mic. And if you had other audio sources, maybe music or something like that, you could probably blend those in. If you had an external Bluetooth microphone, think about the possibilities with that. You could definitely include other people within a 50-foot radius of you being able to record. So that could be pretty amazing. Now, the last component is the controls. It's over on the far right-hand screen. And remember, we skipped over the scene transitions. But the controls is sort of where you decide whether you're going to start streaming or start recording. As I mentioned before, most of the things I've done in OBS, I've been recording. This is because I wanted to save a screencast to my computer and have it in MP4 format pretty quickly. But you can also click on Start Streaming. And streaming is something that you can do if you've already set up your streaming settings in Facebook Live and YouTube. So you'll want to do step 3 before you click on that Start Streaming. So what do we do in step 3? Well, this is where we're sort of setting up streaming configuration. And for the purposes of this example today, I'm going to use YouTube. The process is pretty similar with some of the others. It just depends on what you're doing. But when you go into your settings for OBS, you'll see that you can click on Stream and then pick the service. This is that drop-down list of all of the different services that are available. And I chose YouTube, YouTube Gaming. There's a server. You say primary YouTube ingest server. I left that alone. And then I was asked to enter a stream key. Now, right now, I have something in there, but I don't know. I had to go get it because it was blank when I first started this out. So to do that, I clicked on Get Stream Key, and it actually took me to the live dashboard. And as you can see here, I've got, here's my dashboard, and I think, and here's actually my key. So what you'll do is you'll click on Reveal. I'm not going to do that now, but if I click Reveal, I'll see the key, and then I'll be able to copy it and paste it back into my stream key area, and I'll be set to go. Isn't that incredible? So if you're wondering, well, what do you have to do on the YouTube side? Well, it's not as hard as you might think. There's actually a stream setup help that you can use. And again, there's that key that you can copy. There's also a stream URL if you need it. And then when you click Done, you're now able to sort of generate a stream. You see it says Connect Streaming Software to start preview. So what I would do is go back to my OBS setup, and which is right here, and click on Start Streaming, and it would show the preview. So for fun, let's actually see what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I can't do that right at the moment, but I would click on Start Streaming, and it's going to pop in. It would pop in that content. So here's one that I've already streamed. Let me reload the page. And this is one that I did a little bit earlier. I'm going to leave the audio off for now, but it basically has me talking. I'm saying the same thing I said at the start of this one. Welcome to TCEA.org's remote learning mini sessions. You can find lots of great resources at this website. But what you'll notice is I have this nice black background across the top. Here I am jumping through a browser. But all throughout, at the bottom of my video stream, I have the address, which is something I really like, because this means that if you're doing a chat or you're setting up your stream, you can always have that address there that you could say, instead of the web address, you could say ask questions at, and then maybe a link to a Google form or Microsoft form where people could drop in. Again, the purpose behind this is to do the live stream when you think you're going to have more than 100 people in your Zoom. Your Zoom gets overwhelmed. Okay, I can't add any more people to it. Now, for my overflow, I can divert them to this, and they would be able to hear the presentation as it's happening, and would be available. The other benefit is that I actually end up with a recording that I can publish later if that's needed. So, as you can see, you can sort of set up your step 4 is setting up your scenes, and if you're wondering if you're doing it right, that's going to be a normal experience for you. You're going to wonder about this. So what I would recommend is setting up some scenes and then try flipping back and forth between them. So for example, here you can see I have a title slide, but I also have an MG intro. So when I click and jump, let me show you what that looks like. Here's my title slide, and you see I'm not actually turning off my screencast of my browser. I've just sort of moved it aside in the sense very easily by just clicking on the scene list that I have. So right now I've clicked over here on the scene list, and now if I want to show my intro slide with all my contact information, I click on MG intro, and now people can sort of see this. So this makes it very easy to jump back and forth between the content that you're sharing with the end user, and to them it'll look very smooth and quick, and you're actually just jumping back and forth. If I have to say anything's complicated about OBS, it's just this idea that you've got several different things to keep in mind. But once you've done it a few times, I think you'll be a pro. So you can see here, I've got, in this particular title slide scene, I have a web address. And for me, this is the web address that is down here at the bottom. The image, that's this picture right here, I actually just took one of my slides and saved it as a JPEG or PNG file, and then loaded it in with this image. And then, of course, my headset mic. So just play around with the first scene and until you know your headset, mic, and sound are working. Try testing a recording where you sort of talk through it, and then when you have you're getting video that has all the elements you want, you'll be ready to try streaming, especially if you've already gone and set that up in YouTube. And by the way, how did I get to this screen? Well, when you're first setting it up, there's a link. It says first get your YouTube live stream key, and it's right here. It's this get stream key. That's how you know where to go. You just have to make sure that you're logged into your YouTube account so that you can show it. So let's talk about one last little thing here. This is a trick that I didn't learn until recently. What you're going to be doing is adding a Zoom meeting ID scene. So this is going to be your Zoom meeting, and I actually have, so you can see in this particular screenshot, I have an OBS window. This is what my OBS window looks like. It's not very complicated, But as you can see, I've got Ardent ISD Morning Coffee Chat, and I have a link, the link down there. It can be anything I want it to be, but I chose to leave it as that. Then I also have my top secret information here. And then all of this is within the Zoom meeting ID. So as you might imagine, I've got this information here, and people are able to see this. This is a Zoom window. So this is my Zoom meeting ID. And if there were people in this that were showing their video, I'd actually have little video boxes popped up all the way through this. So this essentially is a quick share of your Zoom. Now, if this is all you want to do is to have a face-to-face conversation with people, fantastic. But if you want to share your browser as well via OBS while in the middle of a Zoom, Zoom makes it a little bit difficult to do that. I haven't figured out how to get OBS to share the Zoom window that's sharing. The meeting ID is easy, but getting the other stuff is not. So one way to get around that is, instead of sharing your whole screen in OBS, what you do is you select the browser window. And I would make sure I have any slideshows or anything there. And that would be what I would use to share my browser window. So let's see if I can, let me minimize everything. Woo, that's a busy desktop, isn't it? And let me drag, see if I can okay, so as you can see here, I've got my window open, and if I want to share this, then what I can do is essentially just jump out and jump from browser to browser window, and this makes it just kind of easy to share some of what's in my browser and what's in my screen. So I know it seems a little bit complicated, especially just trying to get all the pieces right, but remember, setting up the scenes and your sources for each scene is really where a lot of the hard work is. And then learning to switch between the scenes to show what you want. I think probably an hour, 30 minutes to an hour of getting working, and you'll get comfortable being able to switch back and forth. And remember, the advantage is that you're going to end up with a copy of your stream at the end, and that people will be able to watch it live and see what's happening as it goes. Thanks for watching this session of TCEA Remote Learning. Hope it's been helpful for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me at mglearn or via email mgulen@tcea.org. And also, don't forget that there's tons of great resources at the OBS Studio website. If you go to their help section, they have some guides that you can go through, and they try to answer a lot of questions for you, as well as offer a local recording guide and streaming guide. So lots more help available online at obsproject.com/help.